The landscape of social media is changing quite a bit, so we're going to talk about it. Welcome to another creative podcast, because apparently the internet needed another podcast hosted by a creative person. I'm Janelle, a late 20s creative navigating life one lesson, one dream, and one existential crisis at a time. Think of this less like a podcast and more like a long voice memo from a friend who's probably asking the same questions you are. So, let's get into it. Hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode. I'm happy you're here. As a frequent user of social media, I feel like I'm constantly taking notes of how social media is changing over time and like, oh, that's new, or like, oh, another trend, oh, another platform. To be fair, we actually haven't really had a new platform, but there could be new platforms to different people. Substack is currently a new platform to me, although it is not a new platform to many people. The same way some people are just now discovering Pinterest. I don't know if you guys are like me, but lately I have kind of been feeling like I want to spend less time on social media and more time living my real life. However, I do want to grow my social media platforms and continue to nurture the communities I've built without spending so much time on platforms. So the former social media manager in me thought, well, let's look at some strategies. Let's look at what content is doing well. Let's see how I can efficiently grow my platforms without spending so much time on them. And so I started to notice a couple things. And some things I've just noticed just from frequently being on social media. But when you decide to take a step back from it all and view things a little bit more objectively and less from like a consumer standpoint, ooh, do you notice how things have really changed? I think right off the jump, let's talk about the elephant in the room. AI. AI has changed social media as we've known it for the last, 10 years. AI is used in so many ways on social media. People are using AI to write their scripts, to analyze their content, to help them come up with content ideas. AI is helping create thumbnails for people. AI is helping generate graphics and visuals for people's videos. If you haven't noticed already, AI is being used so frequently on this platform specifically. If you are watching this on the YouTube version, YouTube unfortunately has really been embracing AI thumbnails, and it's really weird because you can just tell when a thumbnail is AI generated. And while I want to say like users don't care, I think that's not entirely true. Like, that is not a blanket statement one can make strongly, because recently a huge creator, I believe it is Hank Green, he actually is under fire, has been under fire for admitting that he uses AI to help push out his content. And I can't remember like all the details about it, but people were furious. And I think it's because of the current climate of AI, but more so like this was a creator that was so well trusted and has lost that with their audience. But that's not what even made me think about including AI into this conversation. What made me want to include AI into today's conversation was I have seen so many people falling for AI videos on the internet. I listened to a podcast where the two hosts have a section where they determine if something's AI or not because they keep falling for AI videos. And at first I was like, how are people falling for AI videos? And then I saw their segment and I understood, oh, I can see how people are falling for AI videos, and it is frightening. And throughout this revelation of, oh my gosh, AI videos are so real, but you can't always tell, I've learned that there are people in this world who use AI for the worst things possible. And it makes me so frustrated because I've always felt like social media was one of those places where you could go to show the real things, to show real life. And seeing AI introduced to all these things is just so frightening, because if you're not aware of what is AI content, how are you going to be able to spot it? Because not everyone discloses it. And it makes me scared for what's to come when it comes to the social media landscape and how AI will impact it. And that's my 2 cents on that. As a creator who primarily focuses on posting on YouTube, I already saw this one kind of coming. And then when TikTok introduced like the search engine with like prompted words, I knew we were definitely headed this way. But that is that social media platforms are heavily trying to become search engines, and they all work as search engines. I have been able to go into any platform and ask a question and things show up. And I think this is really cool. However, I do think that this kind of proposes a dilemma for creators and how one should create for platforms now. And unfortunately, I found that it is true. Creators now have to be very specific with their content. The more descriptive you are in your captions or descriptions, the more specific you are in your thumbnails, the more keywords you use throughout your video, the better it's going to do. And that's because social media is competing with platforms such as Google, and they want your stuff to be searchable. They want people to be able to find your things. But therefore, as a creator, you actually have to put in more work to make sure that that stuff can be found. And luckily, algorithms exist, so you're still playing that lottery of like, I didn't put a couple words in this, hopefully it'll pop off. Or maybe I have the audience to make this go off. But for creators who don't have that, you're going to have to work a little bit harder in today's climate to make your content reach larger audiences. And I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on that. Do we think that's a good thing? Do we think that's a bad thing? I personally like it because I think it's giving me more chances to succeed on platforms than if I didn't do those things. But it is a lot of extra work. So I don't know. I think for me, it's a toss-up of whether I do like that or not. Now, the searchability of content is actually what brought me to my next point that I wanted to touch on. And that is everything's a freaking ad. I have been getting real sick of certain apps, and I'm looking at you, Pinterest. I'm so tired of trying to use Pinterest these days because everything's an ad. I'll try to click on something. Oh, it's an ad, not a photo. And like, you just have to read everything and be so specific. And I'm tired of it. I want my social media platforms to be as less of a hassle as they possibly can mean. When I'm using social media, I don't want to keep getting frustrated. I find that on Pinterest, I could only use it for so long without getting upset and annoyed that I kept clicking on a freaking ad. But the same thing has recently happened to me on other platforms. I was on TikTok and I had searched something, and I'm scrolling down looking for something. Next thing you know, there's all these ads, and I'm like, wait, I didn't search for this. And next thing I know, did not search for this, but why is there an ad? And I'm going to admit this. I watch a lot of YouTube. I watch a lot more YouTube than I'd like to admit. I think I watch from like 4 to 7 hours worth of YouTube videos a day. And that's because of the content I watch. That is my disclaimer. And because I am watching these long form pieces of content, I did buy into a premium subscription on YouTube to avoid the ads because I was just getting so sick of it. And to add to that, I don't care if people have sponsored portions in their videos. Like, I'm all for creators getting their money and getting their sponsorships. However, some creators just have so many ads that are back to back to back that it just makes the content unwatchable. And I honestly would rather pay to not have the ads. It's the same way with Netflix. I'm not going to be watching Netflix with ads. Absolutely not. I like to make the most out of my time and what I do. So No ads for me. And I say this all to show that like when it comes to ads, there's always going to be a price to pay. My price is paying for things to not have ads. And for other creators, them being able to post content for free for you comes with you having to watch their ads that they post, or else they got to start charging. But then I had a conversation with someone about how I have a lot of clothing pieces from like a certain brand, and this person that I was talking to goes, "Oh, you're like a walking billboard for them." And I was like, yeah. And I was like, wait, I am. When I wear the logos of something and people can like recognize it on me, that's advertisement. And then it had me thinking, oh my gosh, everything's an ad nowadays. Like we're constantly being sold to. And the thing that kind of made me have my last straw when it came to this point was I was doing some research on potentially getting some health insurance. And I was trying to fill out all these questionnaires, trying to get quotes. And I go to this one website and it said, oh, just put in your email and we'll review the results on the next page. So I said, okay, put in my email. And then it was asking for my name. And then it was asking for my last name. And then it was asking for my phone number. And I was like, oh, this is a lot of information for it to be like on the next page. And then I realized, mind you, when I was filling this out, it was like 2 a.m. I was really sick. I was not doing well. Brain was not working. Mind you, I completed it, went to the next page. My results were not there. The next day, I received nonstop phone calls all day because this website sold my phone number, my information to a bunch of people who sell health insurance. And they've been blowing up my phone for the last 4 days. And I have been losing it. I've blocked every single person I possibly can. I'm still blocking numbers because I'm just so furious that like I became the product. I became the thing that was sold. The cost I was paying to receive free information was my privacy, my information. I should have known where it was going. But like even me knowing how this stuff works, I fell for it, and anyone can. And that's the thing that kind of grinds my gears when it comes to constantly being sold to. And not only is it frustrating, but after that, I'm starting to see ads on my social media platforms for health insurance or options for things. And I didn't ask for any of this. I was just dumb. And then this thought led to another thought, which had me thinking, not only are we constantly being sold to and being shown ads, but we are also becoming the ads. Like we are constantly paying a price, selling ourselves, becoming the product to hopefully achieve something or get something. In order for me to have this podcast, I pay the price of being vulnerable with strangers and not strangers. And it's a very scary thing. I've always considered myself an open book, so this has never bothered me. But then I got a hate comment asking me like why I would do this. And it didn't bother me, but it was the first time that like I'd been ever asked like, why would you do this in a bad way? And that's when I started thinking like, is this a bad thing? Like what I'm doing? And then I realized no, being vulnerable is something that I'm happy to do. Being vulnerable is something I want to do. And it's something I will continue to do. And for some people, that's a price that they could never pay. And that led to some more thoughts of, social currencies that we always pay. And it exists everywhere if you know how to spot it. And I think today in the landscape of social media that there's always a price being paid. And I think a lot of us should start thinking about that. And what are you willing to pay? Just something to think about. On a lighter topic, as someone who makes content and has made content for others, I've always been a big fan of the strategy to create series within your content. I think it's a really quick way to build recognition, and I think it's just a fun way to hold yourself accountable and build something on a platform or several platforms. And for myself, one series that I've done has been my Outfit of the Day series. It's a very easy, simple series, and it's something that I can replicate all the time, and I don't even have to think about when I make these videos. And that's just one basic example of a series. However, on my YouTube channel, I just started a series that talks about, what is it? Guys, I have like 50,000 tabs on my computer. If you guys saw my computer, you guys would probably panic. All right. I created a series on my YouTube channel called the Late 20s Diaries. And this is nothing unique. Multiple people have done this on YouTube. However, I want to put my own spin on this and share my journey because I don't see too many journeys like mine existing on the internet. And so I feel like I have something to add to the conversation. So I decided to take it and run with it. 4 years ago as a social media manager, I was so big on binge-able content. I was so big on people creating series and sticking to them. And I'm so proud that that was a hill I was willing to die on, because in today's climate, people are craving bingeable series. People want to be able to binge your content. Like if somebody finds your series, they want to be able to watch it all. Or at least if they can't watch it all or they are caught up, they want to be able to follow you through your journey. And that's how you start building a community. It's how you start building a following, is taking people along for a ride through this journey that you're going on. And I think now more than ever, this is in very high demand. And I still see so many people not buying into this. So if you haven't jumped on this type of content yet as a creator, I highly recommend doing it. It will make you so much more interesting than someone who's not doing this. And the last thing I'm going to touch on in today's episode is something that actually sparked this entire conversation, because I started to notice that if you don't have substance, you're not going to make it on social media. So, Janelle, what does substance means? You can't be a boring basic bitch. That's what I'm saying. You gotta provide a little something for people. Like if 10 people are filming Get Readies with me in the morning and they're all posting it, y'all are all gonna blend in. But if one of you guys is doing a Get Ready with me when I only have like 15 minutes before I anchor the morning news, or Get Ready with me to enter my first year in law school, or Get Ready with me to quit my job of 4 years, those are so much more interesting, because now it's like, oh, you're not just getting ready, you're gonna spill something. Right? At least that's what people are hoping for. They're hoping that you're going to bring them along for something other than what you're doing. I've also noticed this trend with creators. I find myself actually being gravitated towards creators who actually have 9-to-5 jobs versus people who are just creating content. I think it's more interesting to see what people do and work on and achieve aside from trying to sell me something constantly. Or if somebody has passions and hobbies that are actually interesting and not cooking. Okay, everyone cooks. Okay, but I cook like really tasty, gluten-free, vegan pastries. Oh, that's a little more interesting. Or maybe you're a makeup artist, but you're a makeup artist for people in television. That's a little bit more interesting. I'm not trying to shit on people who are just boring and just make content, because I feel like I made a whole episode all about that, because yeah, I do think everyone's a little boring nowadays. And if you're going to be boring, at least like try to have some personality. I'm just so tired of everybody talking the same. Everybody looks the same. Like we have all lost our sense of selves. And this is me going on another tangent about it, because I'm just so passionate about people being themselves unapologetically. Like, yeah, I'm actually not one to talk because I'm just another girl with a podcast. Like there's 50 billion of us on the internet. However, I have not heard a podcast like mine. So that's why I made this thing. And I rest my case. But yeah, I don't know. I think because social media is just so oversaturated that if you don't have substance, you're not going to thrive. Or I mean, like, keep doing you, but don't expect to like see anything change. Just try to bring a little bit of something new to the table. Like being yourself is the easiest way. But I don't know. Social media is constantly changing. I have just noticed these things happening in the realm of social media, and I'm curious to hear like what some of your guys' observations are, because there's a lot of interesting conversations happening right now. You know, I recently came across the conversation about somebody saying that like lazy content is the way to win on social media, especially a platform like TikTok. I believe this was directed towards musicians looking to promote their stuff, but in general, I think a lot of people do believe like lazy content is what is going to keep them winning. And I think that works for some, but not for all. And once again, think about the cost that's being paid in order to have lazy content work for you. Another little bit of food for thought before I leave you guys with is I have been seeing this conversation pop up again about how like people want the behind the scenes, people want the messy, people want the real stuff. And I would argue, yes, that's true. That's why I do this podcast. But I think there's another argument to be had because I am constantly still seeing like highly produced pieces, like high quality photos, high quality short films, like all these things doing really well online. And yeah, people want authenticity and realness, but I think from someone who considers themselves to be a storyteller, another argument is to be had that people say they want something real, but I think people don't realize that not everything is like real and authentic, and that there's a reason why movies are always doing well in theaters. There's a reason why people love TV shows. All of these things are not real, but they're produced to feel real and authentic. And I don't know, it's another conversation that I'd be interested to hear your guys' thoughts on. If you want my opinion, honestly, I think both arguments are so valid, and I think at the end of the day, just do what you want. You want to have really polished, clean content? Go for it. You want to have messy, unfiltered content? Go for it too. Do what you want to do, because at the end of the day, you have to live with the fact that you put it out there on the internet. So what are you going to be happy with? I don't know. Social media is always changing. So I am always happy to have this conversation from time and time again. And that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for tuning in to today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with me. I had a good time rambling. I don't often do this, but every now and then I think it's a fun way to stay connected with you guys. So I appreciate you guys tuning in for this conversation. I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts are on any of this, all of this, or just like what you're currently reading right now. I'm currently reading, I can't even remember. I can't even tell you the book. I'm currently reading The Things We Leave Unfinished, or The Things We've Left Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros. Yeah, but anywho, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.